Hey Leo, it's Empress Rose here. Welcome to your reading. These are general readings, so we take what works and we leave what doesn't, as with everything in life. And if I don't catch your wavelength or storyline on this reading, check your other major placements. That would be your, your major placements would be your sun, moon, rising, and typically Venus. Although I don't always think of my Venus as a major placement. So yeah, check your other placements. And then at the end, if I remember, I will post pictures of the spread so you can check those out. So we always start with this Oracle Mystical Moments deck for an intuitive vibe of where we're going today. So for Leo, what's the best? That's a book, and we're not even going to look at it because it's half the deck. What does Leo need to know this week? Oh, you're partway through a difficult situation, but you really need to rely on your intuition and something other than intellect to get you through this. So we have tiny triumphs here. We have your intuition popping out, your sense, some sort of sensory thing popping out. Your intellect isn't necessarily in charge right here, usually patrolling the field, grabbing the little field mice and chomping them. Your intuition or something is popping out in a big way, possibly a humorous way. There will be a turning of the tables. Something that is small will become large. Typically, I view this as like your still small voice inside of you. It could be your conscience, your intuition, something like that inside of you pops out in this big way and kind of turns the tables of who's in charge for a little while. So tiny triumphs, a thing that is tiny and quiet, the little mouse inside of you that's full of quivering senses and survival instinct just pops out here in kind of a big, funny, harlequin, bold way. And then we have Moon Dance. Again, here's your intuition right here, and right here, supporting you as you do make your way across this delicate little place. I mean, if you fall, you can trust yourself here. You can trust your intuition here. Step by step, if you do fall, you're not smashing to the ground. You will be able to survive, even if you don't quite make it across here. You've still got this supporting you and helping you, leading the way. So it is a bit of a delicate dance. These three little birds are here telling you it's going to be all right. Everything is you're going to make it. It's going to be fine. But it is a little bit delicate and precarious right now. So you're in a bit of a precarious situation, relying on your intuition and just going step by step, bit by bit, trying to find your way across, a bit of a precarious situation you seem to be in right now. All right, Leo, let's try this. Okay, Leo, this is your past, your present, your inner landscape. What's the issue? Your environment, your to-do list, and your possible outcome. A lot of big, powerful men here. Okay, in your recent past, you have the Hierophant. So this can be dealing with matters of faith or institution, which is really funny that this card has both, because those two things don't go together very well in my mind, faith and institution. But there might be some religious institution in your past, or your faith. You may have left a faith behind, or you may have reconnected with your faith. Something about a religion and a religious experience or something here is in the past. In this card, it's not so much about the institution, because we don't have the buildings. We do have buildings in other cards, so we could be talking, you do have a couple institutions, like the physical building of the institution in these cards. So we could be talking about that, actually. But the Hierophant, dealing with the institutions of governance and church. Typically this deals with church leadership, spiritual leadership, that type of thing going on in your recent past. In your present situation, you do have the Lovers here. And the Lovers is a card about making choices. So yeah, on the one hand, it's very exciting. Oh my gosh, Lovers, big time romance card is what we tend to see it on the surface. But it's also about loving something and choosing that path towards love, the path of love, or having that option. So to me, it is the Lovers card is the Romeo and Juliet card, which on its surface is a very romantic thing. I mean, it is a very romantic story, except for it ends in tragedy. But so we're not talking about the tragic ending of Romeo and Juliet. We're talking about the fact that their families don't support them. The fact that the choice is illogical to go with this heart path. And the heart path is often shows up as very illogical for us because it has something more to do with this instinct and this intuition coming in. So we can look at the situation, make a little spreadsheet. Who would approve of this? Who does not approve of this? How's this going to sound if I say that this is my plan at a party, that kind of thing. It reminds me of telling people that I wanted to be a lawyer for a while, and it got people off my back, and everybody respected it, and it was great, and became close to happening, but did not happen. I worked in the field for a long time, but not in that capacity. So, but it just, it was a logical path. I could explain it. I could tell people what I was doing at parties, and I would be respected. And whatever I was, fiddling around with in my life at the time was just, oh, okay, that's temporary. She doesn't really think that's going to happen. So it was, that would have been the path of like logic. So this is, and instead of the path of heart. And here we have these two things here. Again, we have this intuition, this path of heart, and the logic here. And so this card is showing up here to reaffirm sort of this card that you might have a choice in front of you, something that makes sense. You can explain it. But then there's something that your heart is calling to do. So the Lovers is really about, are you going to follow the path of heart? Are you going to answer the call of your heart, the call of your intuition, even though it doesn't make sense? And even though there's another choice that could be more logical. This is like, there's an equation here, and you've got answer A and answer B. Answer A is pretty close to the equation. It reminds me of the engineering tests and exams where nothing's ever perfect. The equations don't end up perfect, but you pick the one that's closest and that's closest to the right answer and would cause the least amount of problems if it was off a little bit, like, because it's all about real world logic stuff. So anyway, so about that, like your A answer is pretty close to the right answer of the equation, and the B answer is like something totally 1 + 1 = what? Tigers. It just doesn't make that much sense, but your heart feels it. It's really calling to you. So that's what the Lovers card is about. What's on your mind? I think you're afraid of some loss here. You're afraid of loss. You're really thinking about loss and what you end up with at the end. This card is about grief and grieving. So you could be grieving something. We also do have this institution. So if this could be the institution of marriage. This could be just your relationship with a church or something like that, because lots of disappointing and heartbreaking things can happen when we truly believe in something and then we find out that it's not quite what we thought it was going to be, or quite what we thought, what we believed, what we hoped, we had this belief in this institution, in this thing, and it turns out to not be as pure or as wonderful or as great as we thought it was. So I think you are worried about a grief process here. There's water under the bridge here, though. This is, you are crying over spilled milk, which is totally fine, because my gosh, now you've got to clean it up, especially if it was on carpet. You don't really want that sour milk smell. So yeah, I've cried over spilled milk literally, because it was like, I just do not have time to clean this up today. So, and I just really didn't want to do this right now. So this is like, you're very concerned about grief. You might be wanting to avoid this grief process. The thing is that you might understand now or be thinking about is that even if you do grieve these 3 tipped over cups, you do have 2 full cups behind you. So it's not like there will be a total loss of something. There'll be a partial loss, but you are worried about grieving that partial loss. There is this sense of water under the bridge. There is this sense, though, of flow and the flow of life, and this loss being just part of the flow of things. So I think this is your hopes, fears, and inner landscape. So you're really thinking about maybe even imagining what a grief process is going to be like. Maybe your heart's calling you to do something, to give up something, and it seems very painful to you, and you're worried about the pain, and you'd like to avoid the pain and the grief that this choice is going to cause. Unfortunately, when we make decisions to avoid pain and grief, I mean, we avoid pain and grief reasonably, but there are some decisions that we make when we're trying to avoid pain and grief and trying to avoid those feelings that end up causing more pain and grief, not just for ourselves, but for people around us. So you may be contemplating this decision that you have, and really understanding and coming to grips with the full measure of grief that it would cause and you would experience. And that may be, something that you're dealing with inside, is that this decision could be problematic and could cause a lot of grief. It might cause more grief to either avoid the decision or to make just the practical choice. When we don't follow our hearts, we're not the only ones that get hurt. Lots of other people can get hurt if you are not following your heart. And then what's at issue here is this Empress card. So in the upright, the Empress is about having everything you need, being very intuitive, having all that you need, and feeling very happy, operating solo and feeling independent and enjoying that feeling. But with the Empress in reverse, you may be not wanting to be independent. You may be feeling like you don't have what it takes to be independent. You may be feeling like you're worried about being lonely, or worried about being alone, not wanting to be lonely, not wanting to be alone. And this is causing a problem. This could be about this grief process. This could be about not feeling like you have everything that you need, even though you might have everything that you need. Not feeling capable of something, not feeling abundant, feeling a lack, feeling a lack of something, not having enough, and not having what you need in order to make maybe the decisions that you need to make, and not feeling strong in who you are and strong in your independence. I mean, this Lover's choice, requires so much strength in order to really do the path of heart, follow the path of heart, and I want to say any virtuous behavior. That's why they're virtues, because the first virtue is courage. You have to have the courage to make these decisions. And so the first virtue, in my opinion, that enables all the other virtues is courage, because telling the truth, being honest with yourself and being honest with others, that can at times require immense courage. Doing what's right, it requires so much courage. So you may be feeling a lack of courage because maybe you're looking at this pretty hard about what would happen if you made this decision. And you may be feeling just a lack because in the upright, she's very independent and she's very courageous. I mean, that independence requires a courage to go against the tide when her heart calls her to do that, to follow her own path, to have confidence in herself. All of that, the first step is to have courage to do that. So you may be lacking courage or I see this fear of facing something, of facing, negative and difficult emotions, this fear of making a strong choice, a strong decision that resonates with you, not feeling like you have the courage or strength to do that. In your environment, you have Eight of Pentacles. There's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of work going on here. Maybe just the Eight of Pentacles is about work, being absorbed by work. Someone around you, you may be in a work situation where there's just a lot to do. You may be at home where there's just a lot of work to get done at home. As far as this decision you need to make, maybe it's being hindered a little bit by having to do a lot of work. There's a lot of work to go before you even get to make the decision. There could be a lot of work to go before you get to this point where you do feel like you have everything you need. Something in your environment is about work, about earning money, something like that. And there is an institution also in this card as well in the background talking about like places of employment. So there could be some issue with your employment, but basically it's about being focused and in the flow, in that workflow, and really, really focused on work. So you may be so focused on work that you're having difficulty. Work may be taking up quite a bit of your time right now, or there could be an issue with work, or there's a lot of work to be done. I mean, you are only partway through, so this is like a lot of work still needs to be done here. You've got a ways to go. You're only partway through a process. Your to-do list is the Emperor. So this is coming into, so what's at issue here is a sense of lack, maybe a lack of courage, maybe a lack of self-esteem, maybe a lack of knowledge that you can be independent and that you have what it takes. And so what I wanted to say with this is that this can often be just a mentality that we have, that we don't have what it takes, that we don't have what we need. So oftentimes people do have everything that they need, but they still languish in this lack mentality. So this is coming into your power, understanding how much control and how much say you actually do have, how much independence. So we have that issue is the reversed Empress. Your to-do list is to basically turn this card, turn that frown upside down. No, yeah. Turn the Empress up, turn it around and become the Emperor. This is coming into your power, realizing how much control and how much say you really do have in a situation. If you've got a choice to make, this is saying that you have what it takes to make that choice, and you have what it takes to deal with the consequences of that choice, because you know there are going to be consequences of that choice, and you know you're not going to like some of those. But we can't go avoiding, we can't base our decisions on avoiding consequences, especially when our heart's involved and our heart's like yelling at us to jumping out here, telling us what needs to happen. So you need to come into your power, understand how much say you have here, how much control you have here. The Emperor is all four kings, very balanced energy in the upright here. He's got the say, the ball is in his court. So this is where, this is your to-do list, is to come into your power, come into understanding that you do have choices here. You do have choices here. You do have a say. You may not like the results. A lot of times we need to just make our choices and not try to game the results. We need to go with our heart, go with what it's calling us to do, and let go and surrender of the results of that, especially when there's a really strong call, which there is going to be a really strong call. I mean, we don't just make flippant choices and just whims, but when there is a strong call and we know what we need to do, card is about you knowing what you need to do and you coming into a sense that you have the strength to do this. You have the strength to withstand the consequences of what your heart is calling you to do. You have the strength and you have the power. So this is really understanding that you are not helpless, you are not weak, you are strong, you are strong. You are capable, and you have a lot more power and control than you think that you do in this situation. And you are courageous. So look in the mirror and tell yourself some of these affirmations, or I wouldn't be able to do that in the mirror, but I would be like, but yeah, give yourself some good affirmations, understanding that you do have choices, you can withstand, and you do have courage. You have the courage to make these choices and decisions and to move forward. And where you're going is this King of Swords. So this could either be, I see a judge here, a very fair judge. So this could be someone external to you that you are headed towards here. It is a court card. Court cards often refer to actual people that we're about to meet. In this case, in this possible outcome, this could also be someone you're about to meet, or that's going to be helping you on your way, or an energy that you are coming into. Having this sense of power, say, and control could bring you into this King of Swords energy. So let's talk about the King of Swords energy and who this could be. This could be, in the past, I have seen this as a lawyer, a judge, or just someone who's very fair, who has a clear grasp on both sides of the situation, understands the truth, and also understands mercy and truth. He's very focused on getting to the bottom of things, understanding things. He comes in with a lot of intellect, a lot of balance, a lot of clarity, a very clear communicator, but it's balanced. Like truth can feel so harsh. So he is capable of balancing harsh truths with compassion and understanding for extenuating circumstances, that kind of thing. But we also see a bit of a judge vibe here. I almost see a PhD vibe too. He's got his little PhD cloak here. But he's very focused, serious-minded. He's not playing. He's not here to play. He's here to bring in truth. He's here to bring in clarity and good ideas. He has a strong vision. So this King of Swords could be a person that you're going towards as you take control of the situation, and not controlling others, but controlling yourself and controlling and understanding your choices and what you get to do. The Emperor in reverse is controlling others. The Emperor upright is about self-control and understanding power and his power. And I mean, he gets all the kingdoms, right? He gets to tell the King of Swords what to do. So, and the King of Cups and the King of, he's over all of that. So really being in charge of something and really having the ball in your court, you come into that energy and it brings you to this King of Swords energy of having a very clear vision, which you may not have right now, and you may be worried about the consequences of that, or you may be having a choice, but this clarity coming in. And the kings also are about really being for the whole kingdom, being fair for everybody in the kingdom. The kings are looking out for the whole kingdom, not just themselves. I mean, because that's a good energy too. That's needed sometimes, is looking out for yourself and being in your truth. But the king is here for the whole kingdom, looking out for everybody's truth, trying to find what's fair and what's right. So that's the energy, this Emperor energy that you choose to come into, choose to see, that you have choices, that you have power, that you have a say here. You come into that, and that either brings you into this King of Swords energy where you get a lot of clarity on what you need to do, or it also could bring you to a person with that clarity, good communication, high intellect, and an ability to balance out all the different aspects of the situation. All right, so Leo, I hope that was helpful for you. And thank you so much for your likes, comments, and subscribes. I really do appreciate them. Yeah. So I hope you have a good week.